Grandmaster chess videos. Good morning, you wonderful chess hoodlums out there in chess land. I have a sparkling, wonderful little game. It's out of Tartakower and J. Dumont, 500 Master Games of Chess. This is an absolutely spectacular collection of the old classic chess games. The match is by Yates versus Ray Arded. Ray is the black and Yates is white. This was in Barcelona, 1929. Now, don't think that just because it's a 90-year-old game of chess, it doesn't have something for us to understand and learn. Every Grandmaster game of chess is worth playing through. And the more chess patterns, themes, ideas, repetitions of tactics that we see and try to put into our games, the better our chess will be. So every game of chess is valuable. Don't let its age kid you. I mean, Paul Morphy's games aren't out of date, right? And he was in the 1850s to 80s or whatever. So anyway, knight c6, bishop b5. We've got a classic Ruy Lopez, and he bumps the bishop back to there, and then he bumps his knight up to here. And now, knight f6, he castles. White castles, and bishop to c5. So, a Ruy Lopez, a standard classic opening. In their book, they say that this is the Muller defense, which the Danish chess player Muller evolved in 1903. He tries to exploit the black diagonal here, is what they say, and the key is attacking f2 in the Muller defense. So let's see how well he does in this target based on the way he opens in the Ruy Lopez. So this will be kind of fun to see if he succeeds, and if he does, how he does so. So they're doing a standard development. He's going to open up the C so that he can bump his bishop back here to safety, because eventually the queen side will attack that bishop in the Ruy Lopez. Yes, correct? This bishop hitting the f2 is so important that he puts it down way down there so he does not fall into any tactical traps or lose that bishop. He wants that bishop because he wants this target over on the king's side, right? So that is the purpose of bumping it down. When I used to play through it, when I play through the Grandmaster games, it was moves like this that when I first started chess, I just did not grasp. You know, the idea, what to me, because in my limited understanding, I was trying to get the most power out of each piece, yes? All at once. And this is why I was getting stuck in so many tactical traps. I did not know the Muller defense had a specific objective, and it was much more important to develop the bishop and then keep him completely safe than it was to get out here and fight like crazy in the center. Now, I'm just putting it there. I know it's under it. Okay, I'll put it there. Here, the bishop has more territory to control, yes? So it's more powerful. And so it just didn't make sense to me to bump it way down there and only have that one square and just that diagonal. But as we continue to learn and study and acquire patterns and get various openings and different defenses and stuff like that, moves like this begin to become sensible. This is how we're improving our chess, right? So this was remarkable to me for that reason. 5 years ago, I would have completely criticized that move. I would have said, what a dumb move. That doesn't accomplish a thing, and it deliberately limits the power of the bishop. Yes, it does. That's the point. That bishop is for that square, that pawn right there. F2 is the objective. His entire game is going to revolve around F2. Everything he moves is to get to F2. Years ago, I did not understand that. So this is the fun of playing through so many Grandmaster games with their comments on commentaries. So I'm just probably talking too much, but that was important to me to realize, gosh, that's not a bad move at all. Right? And I'm continually learning that. Obviously, I suggest some moves in some of my games that some of you tell me is a lousy move, and then I relook at it and I go, oh yeah, I did not understand that. This is part of the process of learning. We make our mistakes, we get kicked in the teeth for it, we lose games, and then we learn how to better situate our position rather than maximizing the power of every piece right now instantly with speedy development. Sometimes it really is more advantageous to keep a piece or two behind until later in the game. So it's an evolving mentality. It's an evolving learning. And one of you kind of made a comment that I seem to be moving away from Jeremy Silman's imbalances. I don't think so. They're always in the background. I'm not emphasizing them as much because I'm trying to talk about these three pillars: the central, power, control, influence, the rooks on open files, and hitting targets. But always, what I need to do is redo Jeremy Silman's imbalances. That's what I will do in the next up-and-coming videos. That is always important to keep in mind. Okay, dude, please. We're here to watch chess, not listen to you flap your lip. Where was I? Aha. D4, hitting the pawn. It's supported, of course, but he's still contesting the center. Very good chess. The knight here takes E4. Target. Eliminating a central pawn. Target. Queen comes to E2, hitting the knight. He wants to keep the outpost. He wants a strong center in order to notice where he's hitting. Notice what's... Right now it's hitting granite, but later on it may not be. Lots of exchanges occur when you fight for the center, right? So that's the purpose. See how that works together. D takes E5. And black will castle. And then bishop does finally come down here, hitting the knight on a real good outpost, because he knows in this Muller defense, this is the target. This is the target. And so he's going to hit one of the pieces that is hitting the target. It makes sense to put his bishop at C2. Instead of having this wonderful diagonal across the center like this, it makes sense to come down to here. The Grandmaster moves become less and less mysterious the more and more we look at their games, see their patterns, understand the ideas. That's the whole point, yeah. And it's fun to do. D5, he wants to really support that knight. White says, I will take you en passant. And black says, that's fine because I am being hit. And in this instance, white, most certainly, if black does not take this knight pawn, which he does, he will exchange that knight. Fundamentally so, yes. Even though he loses the bishop pair, it's worth taking that knight simply because of where the target is. You see that? So black is wise not to leave that there and develop another undeveloped piece, say, and instead move it again and get it out of danger because it could come in very handy for later in the game. That makes sense? So he does come back down. Yeah. He does not want to exchange. Well, white continues his development. Black grabs the file, hits a target. One of our pillars. Every winner in chess games work these three pillars, whether they know they're doing it or not, and I think they do. They didn't know them as the three pillars, that's my designation, but they definitely put these into every game I see. And it's worth constantly making notice of it. Bishop comes back up, check to the king, puts the king on h8. Queen comes to d3, pinning the knight to the queen. He doesn't want his knights real active, but another point the queen does is he hits this target here. Yes, it's supported at this point, but he's keeping an eye on the target because, see, black's king side is a little bit iffy. Yeah, so that it's understandable that's a temptation. Now realize we got a bishop here that just bumped the king in the corner. We got a queen here. We've got a knight that can come up in here real quick. We've got a bishop behind the knight. The knight can get up, and then the bishop can come down to here. So the potential for a kingside attack is very, very strong with white right now. And you have to kind of keep an eye on that. And the way he does that is he comes to queen f6. Very nice. Look, knight comes to c4, opening up this bishop toward the king side. The queen's here, the knight's right here. The knight can come to here quick, the bishop's. So it looks like white is getting ready to pounce, so black has to be on his toes, and he does exchange. And here I ranted and raved about wanting him to keep the outpost here. He has with the pawn. That's a useful outpost if he ever gets another piece there, yes. The pawn hasn't fallen yet, so that's okay. Queen will take the knight, so he does a few exchanges. Look at this battery. Bishop, queen to here. So he's got black has to watch his 8th rank carefully. That's a good battery to have. He does have the open file. Can he use it? Is white going to contest the open file, or is it more important for white to guard this f2 pawn with the rook, which means he wants to bring this bishop up into here and get this other rook active? Yeah, that makes sense. So we'll see how they work through this. Bishop e6, bringing another piece into it, connecting the rook so that the 8th rank is completely solid, because that's a good battery. That's a good enough battery. Yusupov talks about the real value of the queen in front of a bishop battery that black, who didn't know Yusupov, of course, he's my age. This happened way before we were Twinkies in our mama's eye. But that makes sense to contest that battery. Truly. Good backup. Using the open file with other pieces as support to weaken the opponent's position. That's really nicely done. Yeah, yeah. Good to see, good to see. Queen will come over here to f4. Again, a target, the 7th rank, but also keeping an eye on this guy. Yeah, of course, he's fully supported. Just keeping an eye out and slowly moving another piece toward the king side that looks a little bit iffy. So that move really does make sense. Yeah. And now, if you're in black's position here and you're asking, what do I do? What would be the best thing? Well, you eliminated the battery. Now permanently get rid of it. For this reason, this exchange makes beautiful sense. Of course, you know the reason. Because the battery is too strong and it seals off the king. It was just too strong. It's worth exchanging. Losing the bishop pair 4, yes. Because you do have your fundamentally more important bishop doing fundamentally its most important task, eyeing the f2. Yeah? So, again, their moves, their strategy, their tactics, their ability to use the open files, their ability to maneuver, neither one of them are cramped. So that's not necessarily an imbalance in this. They're both weaving around the center. They both can manipulate the position fairly easily. So it's making sense what they're doing and why they're doing it. Bishop now comes up 1 to b6. There's less pieces on the board, safer to venture out just a smidgen. Improving your position by small moves is what black and white are trying to do here. Watch what white does. Queen g3. Small moves, not necessarily attacking moves, and yet exquisitely powerful attacking moves. Look at the target here. Of course it's covered. Yes, it's covered, but just observe it still is a target on the king side, the loose hippie king side. Yeah. So it's a slow build. It's a slow, gentle defense here. This bishop coming into here, that could be a good bishop sacrifice to crack open this bishop, or the king side again. Tight game. Very cool how to observe this happening. And, okay, so black has the file here. White's reasoning is, okay, well, I'll grab the row. I have a partial file here. Of course, it's held up by the... It's not an attack file, but it is a file I can maneuver and bring a piece over into here. Again, on that king side. He's not just leaving at home doing nothing, right? Okay, so with the rook coming to a4, he wants to use this row because he wants to come over to do a king side attack, simply because this king side is loose. As black, what you want to do is assert your authority. We have this bishop hitting the target. Why not double strike that target? Rooks on open files, using the open files, possessing the 7th rank. Target. Target right where you want it. Now black is trying to gain the initiative here. Very, very nice. White is not intimidated. He comes right over here to rook h4, hitting here. Notice the bishop here coming into this. The bishop sacrifice could be very, very powerful because it'll completely obliterate that king side, and the king is on the very corner, so this is getting tight. Your rook is on the 7th rank. Bring your other rook in and support the rook. Double your pleasure, double your fun. Doubling rooks on open files. Notice white's rook, other rook, can't get into the game. He is on strictly a defensive mode. Notice though, white is not leaving his other rook out of this. He has brought him into the battle. So this is a great game. They're both struggling mightily for control of the initiative here. This is quite powerful. Queen increases the pressure of the h6 pawn. The bishop, the rook, the queen. Yes, the queen is guarding it, but that's not enough. Now, black has increased the pressure against the f2 pawn. This is a very nip and tuck game. It's very, very close at this point. So, rather than worrying about... The other thing, you've got 2 pieces here. This one is being very useful, however. You've got a piece here. Look how he is amassing all of the power on this side. Really, truly. That's really important. This is kind of iffy, loose, not a lot of protection here. Lots of pressure here with the knight being able to come up into here. So what do? As black, you attack. The idea, white is putting together a decent coordinated effort, just exactly like black is. So, since the king of black is more susceptible, as black, it makes perfect sense that you want to begin to exchange the attacking pieces. Because your defense is not as good as his offense, take out some pieces. So this move makes sense. Yes, his 8th rank is unguarded. He doesn't have a back rank checkmate. There's no problem there. White potentially could, though. In time, you always got to keep that in mind. So the idea of let's get rid of the active rook. This rook is active. Don't get my intent wrong. But he's active on defense. I mean the active attacking rook. Sure, swap that piece off and you can go, okay, take a breath, right? Well, white prevents that by simply bumping up. He knows he has a good attack. Really. There's no question. White has a screaming attack. Black has another very nifty little resource, however, to slow white down. And that is pushing pawn to f4. Really well protected pawn. What this does is it eliminates the sacrifice piece from doing his job. I mean, if the bishop can take that pawn, even if you can't respond, just taking the pawn is enough to shatter that king side, and then you're in trouble. You've got the queen and the rook on files directly against your king. You have to shut out the sacrifice piece. You know white's chomping at the bit to play that if you're black. So prevent it. Preventative medicine. Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. So, with your sacrifice piece eliminated out of the attack, and you really don't want to lose the rook by sacrificing it because you do want to get a checkmate, and now that the queen is here, black's okay for the moment, but you have another option. Target. Hit the target. You can still attack. And so we see white doing this. This is really well done. And now queen comes to d6, and now the threat is rook takes f2. That is what black is threatening. He realizes, and the other advantage of putting the rook here hitting the target is you keep your eye on this guy. If you can get rid of that pawn safely, you still might be able to get that bishop into here. Yeah? Although black's double rooks on that file, I mean, that's one of our pillars, and you can see the dramatic impact of that in this game. Wow. Black grabbed the file and he's not letting go. No, nor should he. Using it very well. White is not very far behind, but he does realize now it's imminent. You can't stop the f2 pawn from falling. So, black gets out of the way. And rook will take the f2 pawn. Absolutely so. Here is the catch. There's only one proper defense. Yeah. If the rook takes the rook, I wrote this down just so, yeah. If the rook takes the rook, then the queen goes here, check. And then the knight can come here, and then the queen will take the knight, and when the king takes the queen, then this rook delivers the checkmate. That's how close this game has been. by shutting out the sacrifice piece here, he did acquire a target. He's still trying to keep the initiative by attacking the queen again, but now the initiative is flipped. You can now see black has the control. So white has to play a good defense now. He was on a pretty good roll on offense, so the defensive move is to here. That is the only defensive move you can do as white. So it's nip and tuck, isn't it? And now bishop takes it. Oh no. Rook took it. Rook g1. Oh no, rook comes back out onto the file, doubling the file, because now he can bust in that way. Yeah, he can bust in. And white's going to try like crazy to regain the initiative one last time for a checkmate, because now the back rank is completely vulnerable. It's not a back rank checkmate. He has a hole here to get out of, but with a queen and a rook, he can prevent this. So he's closing in, and now the bishop takes the rook. Yeah, the bishop takes the rook. Notice once that f2 pawn falls, white is very vulnerable here, even though he has a magnificent effort of doing a kingside attack. Yeah. Queen comes to f5, sealing off the escape. One more move in this checkmate, except the queen's here. However, you would hate to have to, I mean, if he bumps the rook here, you have to take it with the queen, and then you lose your queen. That would suck. But you got to prevent the checkmate. So he didn't take the bishop. He moved his queen. He's trying, so each one of them are fighting hard for the initiative. So you can bump your bishop back to here, and now you have safety at the checkmate square. Now white's plan fails. Black has the attack. White has had his sacrifice piece shut out. It's still on its home base, home square. It really doesn't have a lot it can do now. The change in position of the queen and the rook have made it so that, yes, he had an offensive, but it has now failed. But now he can't get back up here for defense as fast. And black has the clearer path to the king. What a fantastic game, yeah? This has been so fun to watch. H4. If nothing else, you got to gain some space to get the heck out of there, because you know it's coming, and here it is. Queen d1 check. Absolutely. Check and a target. Yeah. Here is where white resigned. And they wrote the variation. If, say for instance, king goes to h2, there is so much power and beautiful coordination. Now notice that both the black and the white players had good coordination of pieces. They really did. The bishop was well coordinated with the rook when it was here, and the queen when it was here and all. It just got shut out. Black's coordination now shows he can sacrifice the rook. Check. Yeah. And then, of course, if the king takes the rook, then the queen comes to e2. Check. Yeah. And so really, the only thing he's got left is here. Or would he want to go to h1? If he went to h1, the queen would go checkmate. No, the queen would go check. And then No, that's check. And then, boy, checkmate. Woo! Anyway, the end of this was because I like games like this where the one player is at one moment one step behind, and then he turns it around and he gets to be one step forward. Then it's turned around on him and he's one step behind. Notice what made the difference was the file, with both rooks using that open file. That's sensational to see. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of this. I love these kind of games because they are just so fabulous to play through and realize that, you know, with some practice I can play like this. Take a little while, but hey, we're on the way. So there you have it. So be good, have fun, do well, have a great day, keep smiling, drink lots of water. I didn't drink a lot of water today yet, but then it is early in the morning, so I've got the rest of the day. Yeah, baby! And I will see you guys in the next chess video.